Hello and welcome to the penultimate round of the ATCC. We are live from Laguna Seca for this round. A very tight and technical circuit is playing host to 2 races today. I'm joined this evening by Toby Davis.
Hello.
And Toby's going to join me for this round, replacing Bjorn de Haas. Bjorn will be back at the final round. It's a very tight showing at the moment in the practice. How do you see this race going at the moment? Who's your favourite for the victory today, Toby?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't really say there's going to be a favourite. The drivers are so good. You can see Via on top from Talbot just by 2 points. So the top 3 with Barrett right up there as well. They're probably the most likely guys to grab the victory. But we've seen victories earlier in the season from other drivers. So I mean, it's anyone's guess right now.
Exactly, let's show you those championship standings now that Toby was talking about. There we are, we can see Francisco VR is on top of the leaderboard, not by as many points as he was originally going to be. He was docked 6 seconds and dropped 2 positions for an incident involving Yuri Braham, which happened at Rattlesnake Point. So now the gap is just 5 points between the top 3 drivers, with over 400 points still available to be won in these final 4 races. The final round is at Asser. That will be a more extended round in both of those races, so that will be exciting indeed. Yuri Braham has been solid all season, is there in 4th. Miguel Nato is closing in on him though after recent performances. In 6th place is DHR Simcraft Peugeot of Saul Boucher. 7th is Eric Nelson. He's having a good inter-team battle with Tyler Skurlock for that 7th position all season long, really. The reigning champion Vincent Khan is dropping slowly down the field, down to 9th now, with Swiderski and Asrias and now solidly in 10th and 11th. Matthias Klein and Hugo Gonsalves both 13th. Emil Sorborg has done very well considering he started in Server 2. He's come up to 14th in the table, although he has dropped from 11th after the last race. The top 20 have not changed from Rattlesnake Point, but Reggie Blaine has dropped down the order a little bit, with Reece Gardner just hanging in on there in the top 20. Well, from the form guide you've seen so far in the practice, who do you see coming out in race 1? I mean, race 2 is obviously going to be a bit more of a lottery with the reverse grid, but what do you reckon the form's going to be?
Yeah, I mean, you'll see some of the times up there, Talbot and NATO. It's difficult to know what setup they're running right now. They could easily be passed at least for the race setup right now, just trying to develop that further, maybe extract a little bit more pace. But, yeah, I mean, we've seen wins before from Boucher and other guys as well, so it's anyone's guess. I think Talbot looks very strong here. The Honda is very well suited to this track. It's nice and narrow and has good tyres as well. So we might see Barrett struggle later on in the race. It could be that he pits early and tries to get ahead of Talbot and maybe block him without that could be an interesting battle.
That's right, Talbot has been honest that time for Talbot. That's a superb lap time. 0.3 of a second almost from NATO now. Just coming to the closing stages of practice 2, and Talbot has been very, very strong indeed in club races at Laguna Seca, and he is viewed as the favourite for this race. He has been the form driver of the past few events. NATO is right up there again as well, and so is Barrick, just in behind NATO, as you can see, and VR. So all the championship protagonists are up near the top of the leaderboard. Showing well as well is Diogo Lopez, Sol Boucher for DHR Simcraft. DHR Simcraft, by the way, are well out ahead in the team championship, although a couple of teams are hampered by the fact they've only got 2 drivers as opposed to the 3 that DHR are able to enter into the championship, but they do have a huge lead, and they pretty much have that team championship sewn up, so congratulations to them. Have had a very strong season. Vincent Khan, of course, has not had as strong a season as he would have liked. The reigning champion has struggled really. He's been up in and around the top 10 most of the time, as we see Talbot just run off track a little bit. But Vincent Khan has often been involved in unlucky situations and not really been on any race-winning pace at all throughout the entire season. So hopefully we'll see him come back to form sooner rather than later. Any surprises that you see coming out in this race, Toby?
Any surprises? Difficult to say at this stage. I mean, we'll have to look at qualifying and see what happens then. It could be that someone makes a mistake, or someone pops up there. We've seen, was it Reece Gardner has done so before? So
yeah,
very easily.
Superb pole position. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
who's your dark horse though for a top 6 finish and challenging for podium position? Therefore, in the second race. I mean,
dark horse.
Amaral has shown very good pace in the RDTCC in the first round at Donington. So, I mean, those guys potentially are going to be a factor.
Yeah, you can never rule out any of the DHR Simcraft boys. So, Sol Boucher easily could get in the mix, and he'll be looking to help his teammate Keith Barrick out. Yeah, team strategy will be important as well. It'd be nice to see Eric Nelson supporting Jesper. He's been a bit on his own, Jesper, the last couple of races, fighting in amongst, especially the Portuguese drivers. NATO and VR have been supporting each other well. So
that's very true. The NATO and VR have often ganged up together, and it's working out well for VR, of course, because he's at the top of the table. But Barrick has been slowly but surely just dropping back from the front guys in the last few rounds. He's come home with obviously consistent finishes, lots and lots of top 5s, but the problem is the excellence of Talbot and VR is forcing obviously drivers to go like a little bit extra past getting top 5s every race. And Barrick is finding himself being a little bit too consistent perhaps. Maybe some risks need to be taken. He's able to take some risks in sport because he's had lots of solid results all the way through the season, whereas Talbot really cannot take many risks at all because he's had a DNF with his disconnection at Watkins Glen, and also his 13th place that he gained at Nürburgring after his difficulty with the pit stops and choosing the wrong set of tyres. So he has got more to lose in terms of taking risks than perhaps Barrick or VR have, so that could come into play for the rest of the season, Toby.
Yeah, you mentioned pit stop strategy. These guys will have. I mean, it's time now that these guys put some serious effort in coming towards the end of the championship, and pit stop strategy. I briefly touched on it before with Keith Barrick, but track position is all too important here. I mean, the racing tends to be close, but overtaking spots there's not very many, so guys will be looking at pit stop strategy very closely, I think.
Absolutely, it's a very narrow, very technical track as well. I mean, what do you make of this, Toby? Is it one of your favourite tracks, or kind of a million track for you, or is it for many people it's a love or a hate? It's a bit of a Marmite track. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I'll put it this way. I enjoy the track itself, but I tend to struggle here for pace, and certainly there are some very technical corners, as you say, like the corkscrew especially is the most infamous, but the braking into turn 2 it is here, the Andretti hairpin, is very difficult, especially on the opening lap, when you've maybe not got the tyre temperature that's optimum. And there's a lot of cambered corners as well, as you can see here with Keith Baring. So yeah, it's a little bit technical, a little bit more technical than some of the other tracks in Calendar, maybe KW Speedway. But yeah, it's up there with the most challenging, and yeah, personally I find it a struggle, but it's an enjoyable track to get right, especially when you do nail a lap and you manage to get the corkscrew perfect, which we'll keep mentioning.
Well, let me say, from my point of view, I absolutely hate this track, and it's involved in so many series at the moment, and it is an iconic track, but I just do not enjoy driving here at all. Never have done. Back when I was playing sports motorsport back in the good old days, and it's just too narrow, and it's very really wide, and I just don't find the technical turns quite to my liking.
Yeah, the corner after the corkscrew, the name escapes me now, but there's several
lines through there.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that corner, there's several different lines through there, and there is an optimum line, and it's very difficult to nail that lap after lap. You'll see some guys will just magic a lap out of nowhere, and it's probably because they nailed the line through there. But when you're racing with several other guys, Keith's just going through the corner now, as we see. Yeah, when you're racing with several other guys and you're side by side through there, it's very difficult to nail it.
So the problem with that corner there is that you come out of corkscrew, and of course your car's out of shape, and you're squeezing hard about corkscrew as much as you can, and immediately you're having to go across the other side of the track. Somebody else is coming up that corner perhaps, and we can show you. There's Matthias Clean, he's coming across there now. Here we go. As you come out of the corkscrew, obviously the wrong side of the track for turning into Rainy Curve. You have to get yourself across the other side of the track, and also Judge Turn, which is an extremely late apex. You can see right around the corner, almost at the end of the corner of the apex. But also keep yourself with the camber at the same time. It's an incredibly tricky corner, and a fitting corner to name after Wayne Rainey, who was an absolute legend of MotoGP. Obviously GP bikes as it was called back then, and he was the best ratio, race to win ratio, I believe. That's anybody, even Valentin Rossi.
Yeah, an absolute legend, but it's an apt corner to name after him. But yeah, as you say, it seems to go on forever, and the temptation is to turn in very early, and you always run wide. There's always a risk of running wide. But I'd expect the BMWs to struggle a little bit through there with rear-wheel drive coming out the corkscrew to get it back across the track, as you say. So you might see cars like the Honda and the Peugeot maybe being a little bit more stable through there. But obviously the BMW has other advantages around the track.
And that little off there from Caro Madaro just, I mean, perfectly shows what happens when you go off, when you misjudge the final turn here, first turn here, sorry, because it's very, very difficult to braking downhill, especially when you're trying to pass a little bit. That's the most difficult part.
The other thing I should mention about Laguna Seca is that there is no runoff. It's literally you go from the track to gravel almost everywhere. Yep. And so if you dip a wheel on the gravel, you're going to lose a lot more time than you would at a track that's surrounded either by grass or some grass, trees, AstroTurf.
The curbs aren't even big on the outside, are they? You can't even use the curbs with them.
No.
You can literally get a wheel off track and you're in the grass. So we're into qualifying now. Super Pole as always. So it'll be very tricky indeed. We're looking for times to be low, well, mid-30s perhaps, because you only get one lap in it, but low 30s if they were able to do something. Carball's going out first. Interesting, because the track won't be at optimum temperature. But he just likes to get the rhythm going and go out straight away.
Yeah, he's probably just come off the back of practice with his qualifying setup. He wants to just get straight in there and do a lap. And the other thing about being straight out onto the track is that you have no problems with traffic.
Well, it's Super Pole, and there's in race there is nobody else on track apart from yourself and Super Pole, so that eliminates any traffic possibilities. But who's your favourite for pole position? I mean, I'm going to go for Torborg as my pole position pick. Would you agree?
He has looked very strong so far, but I think Nato is a very good hot lapper, so I'm gonna go with Miguel Nato.
Okay, excellent stuff. We'll see how it goes. Torborg comes out. You can see the track temperature has risen by a degree already. Although we found at the RDTCC that the more the track temperature rose, the slower the track got in qualifying in the recent round at Donington. And people were able to go fastest during temperatures around about 25 rather than 30. So it might pay off here for Jesper as he starts. Comes out of the final corner, and then is about to start his hot lap. Start finish line is right next to the bridge here. Very narrow starting grid as well, of course, so it'll be interesting off the start. Tolbog starts his lap now, comes down towards turn 1 into Andretti hairpin. The double apex left-hander. A little bit cambered, got to get it right in and get a good exit on the outside. Head now down towards just what is called turn 2, which is a nasty little corner because it never actually opens up. It just keeps staying on the same radius. You're so tempted to put the power on too early. Turn 4 much quicker because it's much more open on the exit. It looks like a decent lap so far from Jesper. Let's go on board with it. Riding the board side of his car as he heads now into turn 4. Heavily cambered corner. Of course, there's no line to that, but if you do get it wrong, straight out of the gravel, usually the barrier, but then the camber heads down towards the barrier. And extremely fast. Turn 6. Heading up the hill, Greyhound straight into the call. Now into turn 7, which is just this little pink here, this right hand, and then turn 8 is the corkscrew, as you can see. Left and then right, plunging downhill, descending very quickly here, getting straight back over the track for Rayleigh curve. Keeping a laid apex down towards turn 10. Again, a laid apex, lots and lots of camber, and it's 30.9 there from Saul Boucher.
This is a good lap so far. He's nailed almost every apex, so it's going to be a quick time for Jesper.
Yes, indeed, but not showing up purple at the moment. Glitch on the timing screen, but here we are. We're across the line. 30.1. That's superb, like all the right there of it. That was fantastic lap time there from the car board.
Yeah, it looked brilliant. Every single corner looked almost perfect. So a 30.1. That's the fastest time we've seen so far. So you might be right, Ryan. I think that could be good enough for pole, but we'll see. It's been very tight earlier in the season.
That's indeed. That's 3 times faster than he went in practice, which is very good indeed, because obviously you only get 1 lap at the super pole. It's easy to mess it up. Two of the guys come through. Matthias Klein has come through. He's got a 30.992. Let's go and check out some of the other front runners if we can. Drew Braham is 4th championship so far. He's on the hot lap. He's now up towards the corkscrew. So blind here, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You're braking and you haven't even seen the corner that you're braking for yet. It's an unusual phenomenon, but we have the same at Watkins Bend. I think it's turn 6 maybe at Watkins Bend, exactly the same. You're running a little bit wide there, but he's got away with that.
7 tenths down already in the second sector, though. This is not going to be anywhere near pole position, of course. He might scrape in just ahead of there of Saul Boucher. He should scrape in ahead of Emil Solborg. As we see, 7 tenths of this championship is a heck of a lot. And half a second from the top 14 at Watkins Glen. 31.4, no, he's in behind Solberg as well. It's a very poor lap there from Yuri. It didn't seem to be many mistakes, perhaps just a little bit conservative.
Just shows the class of Jesper there to be 8 tenths ahead of second place at the moment. That's a monumental gap in this championship.
It is, and Solberg is a race winner in this series as well. There's no mug in the slightest. Let's go on board. Here we are now with Francisco Villa. He's going down to the final corner. This is going to be interesting to see. I've not seen any purple sector time from him. See what sort of time he can do. It's going to be 31 perhaps. 30.934. He will just be behind. Oh, excuse me. Just be behind Boucher. He is just in behind Boucher. 3 drivers on the 30.9. That's not great news there for VR.
We just saw briefly Keith Barrett waiting in the pits. He's probably assessing what sort of laps he needs to do. So good tactics from Keith. He just needs to just do a solid lap now, get in the 30s, and he'll be right up there.
Of course, I never find that that's paid off for me. I know the lap time I have to do. I end up watching the timer rather than driving the actual track. I don't know how you think about that.
I much prefer knowing what I have to do. In every single race I do, I tend to wait a few laps to see what the other guys do. If they've mastered their pace at all, see if they've hit any lap times for us. Yeah, I see what someone else has done and then attack.
And then panic in case they have mastered their pace.
Well, yeah,
I always take that.
Nato just missed the apex, interestingly, coming up Ray House straight there. So Talbot brought that forward nicely, so we'll see how many 3 tenths down.
Yeah, he only lost 1 tenth ago there, and I think he didn't hit the bumps at all, so that might have helped him a little bit, because the bumps really take off line and gives him a lot of acceleration out there. It's not always potential to cut right across the end of that corner, and I say something like that, but now the ball is on power now towards the start of this line. What can you do? It's going to be very good indeed. He's 30.5. He's going to go for the front rows at the moment. He's 10 behind Jesper. That's a stunning lap there from Jesper, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It's by miles the fastest lap I've seen. So yeah, it's just Keith Barrick now. Really is the only front runner. Vincent Can coming up towards Rail Straight.
Yeah, he's the reigning champion, of course, in his distinctive yellow tinted windows. He's had them every season so far.
Nice line.
Well, probably a little bit wide perhaps on the second part of that. He is 8 tenths down, of course, as well. How much he was down in the first sector?
Yeah, no, he took a lot of curve through the first part of corkscrew. It's the most we've seen from there, so might have put him out of shape, but he gathered it all up. So yeah, that's the best we've seen someone do the corkscrew. But as you say, he's 8 tenths down as he comes across the line.
See what he can do. It can be a 31 at least. 31.2. That puts him in 8th position. It's very, very tight. In fact, in this bunch here, isn't it, between 3rd and 8th. Oh, it's down to 8th. There's only 3 tenths in it, really. If you're in that little group, it's very tight indeed. But there's 2 guys out front, are very far out front. Very impressive indeed. Perhaps Torborg, like you're saying, was masking his pace. So let's see if we can find one of the front runners. Is Keith Barrick out on track yet? He is indeed. Here he is. He's just going through his warm-up lap. What do you reckon, Toby? You reckon he can topple Torborg? It's pretty steep. Pretty steep lap time to beat.
Not with that time. Keith will be running harder springs on the front in qualifying. He'll be looking to heat up his tyres as fast as he can in the Peugeot, get it pointy, nice and pointy for the qualifying lap itself. It's nothing worse than a understeering Peugeot, because you can't do anything about it being front-wheel drive. So yeah, we'll look for a little bit of oversteer action from Keith around here.
Yeah, I'd have to agree there. He'll have pumped the tyres up as much as he dares to get the middle temperatures into them. He'll also have pushed the camber as much as he dares to get as much grip as possible just for this one lap, without ruining the balance of the car, of course. It's very pointy through there, as you were saying, so look at that. Very sideways through there. It's the most sideways he's seen any car through there, I think, through any session. And he's 10th down. Perhaps that sideways action has cost him a little bit, but 10th down is nothing to be ashamed of at all with that stunning lap time there from Jesper.
Yeah, it's the only way of driving the Peugeots from the front end. You've just got to get it into corners. So yeah, another one that missed the apex through there.
He was very sideways again though, wasn't he? See what his lap time is. The split time is as he comes out of the corkscrew. Second split. Oh, he's very, very deep on the brakes into the corkscrew. Almost got it out of shape. I think he might cost himself at least 2-3 tenths. And he's wide coming off that. He's 6/10 down, look.
Yeah, but that'll still be good enough for 3rd if he can do a good final sector. So
he was way out of shape coming out of turn 7. Like you say, earlier, you actually brake to the corner before you actually see it. And of course, it's very much a leap of faith. It's very easy to get it wrong, and Keith did. He ran wide on the exit as well, of course, trying very, very hard indeed. Perhaps it's one of those times where you don't try so hard and just go for the 2nd or 3rd. It's going to be a 6th for Barrick. That's not what he wanted. He's 5 places behind his main championship rival, Jesper Torborg, and obviously the championship leader, 2 places behind him as well.
Yeah, he missed the
perhaps, Toby.
Yeah, missing the apex coming onto Rahal, that was his first mistake, and then corkscrew through, well, as he said at the time, 3 tenths, and it was probably more than that actually. So yeah, a lot of time lost there.
Well, Caramadero Andrew Bogdan is going for some prime time viewing because he's going out on track last. And then we're going to see both of his laps, his warm-up lap and his hot lap. So let's see what Bogdan can do. His best result of the season so far has been a 3rd position at Sebring, which he was absolutely delighted at. It was the highlight of his sim racing career. So that just shows how competitive this American Touring Car Championship is. viewed very, very highly by the viewers and the drivers alike. So as Bogdan starts his warm-up lap, we'll run you through the results so far. There's Torborg and NATO on the front row, with Cher and VR, Peugeot and BMW on the second row. Third row is Matthias Klein and Keith Barrick. That's an excellent run there from Klein. He's been on fire lately. He was very, very good in the RDTCC. 7th is Hugo Gonçalves. 8th is Emil Sorbo from Waterloo Racing in his Peugeot 407. To show you 9th through 16th, there is Kahn and Braham, both well down the grid, not where they want to be. Diogo Lopez, Pedro Amaral, the two Portuguese drivers there on row 6, with Skurlock, Swiderski, Isles and Gardner rounding out the top 16. Nelson is way back on the grid. He's in a fight for 6th position in the championship, and that's not going to help his cause at all. Back in 17th position. Richie Blaine also was disappointed with his 18th. Stephen Byrne in 19th. Forward 20th. Matt Carver has come up to the Server 1 for the first time this season. He's in 21st position on the grid, beating Server 1 regulars Daniel Wood, Abdul Ahmad and Ethan Bass. Bass is his second event in the Server 1 after the event 2 weeks ago at Rattlesnake Point. There are no change of conditions forecast for this race. It will be dry throughout.
Ethan in 24th is a little bit better than he did at Rattlesnake Point. If you remember, he went out very late on and it had already started to rain, so he was unlucky there, but he's managed to put in a reasonable time. It's interesting that Eric Nelson in with a 31.6 down in 17th. That's only half a second off from guys like Keith Barrett and so on who were in the top 10. So very tight from, as you said, from third down. The top two guys in the league of their own.
They are indeed an absolute class of their own. They've absolutely mullered the rest of the field, and Andrei Bogdan is looking to get into that group between 3rd and 17th. He's only 7 tenths down on Torborg, but he's missed the apex there quite badly into turn 10. And now the final hairpin. Turned a little bit early there, I think, and got on the brake and come out of the brake again. He's now down to the finish line and might be around about 10th position, I think, there. 16th, 31.5. So you just drop a few tenths here, Toby, and you're straight down the grid.
Yeah, as Eric Nelson found out, and it's just one of those things. It's unavoidable, really, in a championship of this class. You've just got to nail that one lap, and if you do miss an apex or just put a wheel on the gravel as it is here, you're just not going to be able to make up the time.
Exactly, and 3rd through 18th is covered by just over 7 tenths of a second. So that's 16 drivers all in that group together. But congratulations to Jesper Torborg, a fantastic lap there from the Synaptic Racing driver from Denmark, of course, only a young driver as well, 17 years old. He's beat off the challenge of NATO and the rest of the field, his two championship protagonists VR and Barrick. There is the Honda record of Jesper Torborg. We were saying that the Honda is one of the faster cars at this track, but the other Honda of Yuri Braham is down in 10th position there, Toby.
Yeah, we didn't see his lap, but he could very easily have made the mistake. But Yuri has been consistently in the points, but he's not necessarily always been quite good to win, so you can't really compare the two drivers too well. Yuri's a good driver, but he's not quite got the pace of Jesper. Yeah, good performance from Talbot. It's interesting that our two picks were pole, Talbot and NATO were the 1 and 2 on the grid there.
I thought you might be able to rescue that somehow. Your failed prediction. But here is the grid, as you can see, and then of course the other Honda of Vincent Khan was there in 9th position, whereas Reggie Flame was back in 19th. So not to sure the Honda has actually got the edge of this track. There's more Peugeots in the top 10 perhaps than the top 10 than there is. Oh, there's another Honda, of course, of Matthias Klein as well. So perhaps I'm just talking nonsense once again, Toby.
Yeah, I'll tell you something interesting about that particular grid is that NATO will be able to help his teammate Francisco Villa very well from there, whereas Keith doesn't necessarily have. I mean, he's got Sol Boucher, but Sol 3 places ahead of him. He won't be right up there when he starts, and of course Jesper again is out there on his own for Synaptic. But yeah, I mean VR and NATO will be looking to work together, and I think there'll be a sneaky team order or two coming in to effect.
I would guess so, and NATO of course will defer to the championship leader. I'm guessing they are great friends. All the Portuguese crew are great friends. They all practice together, they all train together and make sure that they're up to speed. Boucher, of course, is a spoiler in that part because he's right in between those two, and that's obviously a strength. A plus point for Keith to have one of his DHR Syncrafts at least up there in between the two drivers, so perhaps to create a little bit of trouble there for the two drivers. Excuse my voice, I do have a big cold, so if he keeps breaking into a 40-year-old's voice, I apologise. I've been moaning about it all day, I have, Toby.
Oh, it's been a nightmare, but we're both here and we're both still awake, just about. 10 to 3, but we're excited for this race.
We'll say I'm looking forward to it immensely. It's going to be a very, very tight race indeed, of course, on this very narrow track. It's an iconic track. Scroll you through the grid. Tyler Skurlock, of course, is way back down the grid as well in the set Toledo. He's fighting with Boucher and Khan and Nelson in the championship, so for the best of the rest, almost, behind the top 5. So he'll want to improve from there quite a lot. We've seen Lopez and Amaral doing well again as well, whereas Swiderski is not doing quite as well as his other BMW driver, Francesco Villar, despite the fact he's taken a win this season so far at Sebring. He's been good in fits and starts, but disappointing in the main. Of course, you can never count him out for a good result. Of course, if he gets into the top 8 in race 1, he will be able to take advantage in race 2. We have a rolling start for race 1 and standing start for race 2. So the BMWs only get their advantage in race 2 for the off the line, obviously.
Yeah, one of the things I've noticed about rolling starts so far this year is that drivers haven't necessarily been optimally positioned, I would say, for the start of the race. You want to be, you don't want to be right up in the backside of the car in front. You want to be having a slight gap and try and get a run on. If you're right up behind a car and you just can't accelerate because you'll hit them, so they'll always pull away from you slightly, but the other way round, and you'll get a run. So. Yeah, it could be interesting, but there's no reason why Sol Boucher up there in, well, wherever he is, top 4.
3.
3, okay, he's 3rd. There's no reason, he's only, 96 points behind NATO, something like that. There's no reason why a couple of good results he can overtake, not just NATO, but Yuri Braham, who's qualified badly in the championship, so he's still got something to fight for, so he might not want to yield to Keith if it's going to cost him too many positions.
I think if Keith is behind him though, and Keith looking for a way past, I think it will be a case of Boucher just letting him go straight past. They are of course in team speak together as well. Of course the championship challenge on Barrick is more important than perhaps gaining 6th position in the championship for Sol. Maybe
yeah, of course.
My
point was if there's another car in between, he's not going to drop 3 positions, say.
No, that's very unlikely indeed. But we are in the penultimate. We are in the penultimate round. So everything is getting very, very tense indeed. The pit entry here, we're going to talk about that for a second. The pit entry here is very, very tight indeed, as you can see. Going to get it really slowed down, then turned in. And the pit exit also as well is incredibly tight. Obviously goes around the inside of turn 2, which is Andretti hairpin, and that's tight anyway on the outside, so it's even tighter on the inside and very, very narrow indeed. So we might see a couple of incidents of people running wide there as they push too hard and brake a little bit too late before they get to the little pit exit.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd be talking about this more if it was slippery conditions, but even in these conditions, nice and dry, track temperature 25 degrees, even in these sort of sticky conditions, it's still easy to miss your braking point and just go straight on into the wall. The last thing you want is a bit of damage.
course it's downhill braking and that ends up to the exit. I mean, I've done it myself several times. You just run, just so easy to run just a couple of miles an hour too fast. Of course, there's no runoff. Again, like every single corner on this track, there's no runoff. So you put a wheel on the gravel, you're going to go straight across into turn 2, perhaps into the path of oncoming cars. So that will be very interesting indeed. Everyone's just preparing for the race, making sure that they've got the correct fuel on board, making sure that they've got the correct tyres on board, that's even more crucial, and making sure that they're psyched and ready for the race. Of course, we are going to go to a rolling grid, so there won't be too much excitement just yet.
Yeah, the warm-up lap is always a strange one for me. It's about trying to focus on your first corner strategy, and it's actually it seems to take forever to do a warm-up lap. Especially when you get to a rolling start and you just want it to, after the excitement of qualifying and maybe you've just jumped into your race setup and practice your in and out lap from a pit lane in warm-up, you just want the race to start, and yeah, there's nothing worse than trundling around at stupid miles an hour and trying to focus your efforts, but these guys seem to do pretty well into turn 1 after the rolling start, so we'll look for that again, and none of the silly business that we had at Rattlesnake Point towards the back of the grid.
Yeah, hopefully we don't get that again, because that was a bit of a mess. But I actually like the warm-up lap because it allows, especially when you've done in a Super Pole qualifying, it's not so bad because you've only done one lap, so very rarely have you gone like right to the last second of the session. And what the warm-up lap often does for me, if you've done like I say a full qualifying session, is able to because qualifying is so intense, just to calm the nerves before the start of the race, and just get yourself calmed down, nice and focused for the start of the race, and get the adrenaline just pumped down just a little bit, so that you're not on edge. Maybe too many times I've gone straight off after qualifying, especially on GT Legends, because GT Legends you have the qualifying session and then it goes. There's no warm up. You go straight to race. So you go qualifying, race, and there's only 30 seconds to join the grid. So you've got 30 seconds for your heartbeat to calm down. Say for example you've just taken pole position and you're pumped up about it. You've got 30 seconds to calm yourself down about it, and I always crash every single time.
No, you're lucky that warm-up lap calms you down. I just get more wound up by it because because I'm far too busy. In fact, there have been occasions where I've hit the back of someone in warm-up lap just because I'm not paying attention. I'm just thinking about the first corner braking point.
Oh, that's bad, dude.
My tactics. Yeah, well, I know. Well, that's why I'm ranked number 2 on the race department rankings, and like Keith Barrick or Jesper Talberg are right up there as well. So
exactly, Jesper is ranked 1 on the race department rankings. Of course, you can check them out at racedepartment.com. This series is supported by racedepartment.com. It provides all of the forms for it and the service currently as well. All the drivers here are members of racedepartment.com. Also supporting this is cockpitfm.net and their podcast. Simon Smith and Maurice Sondag. Make sure you tune in to them every couple of weeks. We also have F1 and Outfit.furniture, which will be available from simracegear.com. They do plenty of very interesting office furniture. For example, cooking comfort seats with like gear knobs for the what's it called, handles that can go up and down.
the knobs.
Yeah, there you go. The up and down handle thingy on the side of the of the seats. They have the aluminium knobs for that, so they're very funky.
Basically, when you think pit stop furniture, you need to think the old Top Gear studio if you're a UK resident. Anyway, as they wind up towards the end of the lap, it's all about Jesper trying to control the field.
He's on the outside. On the outside, he's turn 1. That's where pole position is, on the outside. So I don't know whether that would be a bit of a factor. It's often actually at turn 3 that we see most of the action as the field streams now towards the start-finish straight. The heartbeats will be going. The rest of the riders away. Field, and away goes now. They cross the line, and the race has begun. And Torbo, not a great start there from him, and Boucher might follow NATO through. Well, not quite. Torbo's going to hang it around the outside, but NATO's taking the lead, and Boucher's trying to get his nose in. But they all head now down towards turn 3. It looks very, very clean so far. Very good racing from all of these guys. Barrick is up to 5th. He's overtaken Matthias Klein, who is being challenged by Emil Sorbo. That's Klein. And now Keith is tacked right onto the back of his championship rival, Francisco Villar, while Nato was under pressure from Tarbog. Boucher's right behind as well. The top 5 are immediately making a bit of a gap there, Toby.
Yeah, this is exactly what Keith needed to do. He needed to jump at the start and get right to the back of Villar and pressurise him. He's got Sol, and Jesper's made a mistake.
And Boucher's gone through. Look round straight. It's nice to think on VR. Very important thing depending on VR as well. On one position. But the first mistake of the race there from Jesper, and he's usually the most flappable driver there, Toby.
Yeah, it's unusual for Jesper, but obviously the championship nerves getting to him. He'll be all over the back of Sol in the next lap. This is great news for Keith's championship fight, because Sol can back Jesper towards him, and it looks like he's going to have a go at Villar here.
Yeah, almost going to really power down. NATO needs to take advantage here. Whereas the top 3 championship protagonists are all line astern here. Look at this, 3rd, 4th and 5th. And Sorbo share's gone wide. And NATO, Sorbo goes through with a little bit of contact, but it was completely fair enough. But Boucher just looked like he outbraked himself there. Didn't seem like it was much of a mistake. There was no smoke, no lot of brakes. Just maybe realising, oh no, I've done it all wrong, just has to go wide. NATO has a little bit of a gap, so it'll be very interesting to see whether Tarbog can hunt him down. And now VR's in behind Boucher. Of course, VR won't want NATO just to pull out too much, because he needs to keep in touch with Tarbog.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Keith Barrick. He's dropped away a little bit. Oh, and Boucher!
Oh, Boucher! Well, right off. What happened there? Did he get a little touch there from VR perhaps? Perhaps he just put a wheel on the dirt on the outside. It is very easy to do that, Toby.
Yeah, I actually think that's exactly what happened here. Just maybe grabbed the brakes whilst his rear wheel was on the curb or the grass there. There's an entry curb into that corner, but yeah, that's exactly what looked like happened. So the 3 championship protagonists again like this turn.
We've got 23rd position. As you can see on the standings there, and Tarbog's right up the back end now of Miguel Nato. Nato holding Tarbog up, so VR can catch up. I don't think he is, because Tarbog just set the fastest lap of the race at 31.0. That's very fast indeed, with race fuel and with racing other cars at the same time. The blood will be pumping. He'll be very pleased to have got away pretty much with his mistake, uncharacteristic mistake on lap 1, and he was right in behind Nato and almost went off. NATO is holding up Tarbog, whether on purpose or by design. I'm not quite sure. What do you reckon?
Well, I mean, there Tarbog went for the cutback, but NATO just held his line and sat on the apex there, blocked him a little bit. And he's going to do the same here, I should think. Yes, but desperate to cut back, and he's actually managed it this time.
He has. What a great move. How did he get the traction out of there? Is he going to brave out into look at that, it goes through side by side almost into turn 7. Tarbog takes the lead. This is reiterating his event favourite here today. And Barrett's very out of shape into the corkscrew once again, and Nathan's dropped back. Obviously, if VR thinks he's got a bit more speed, he may let his teammate through. Of course, he's more well placed in the championship than he is.
I think Keith looks the faster of the two between himself and VR. So if Keith has got any sense, he'll pit as early as he can and hope for some fresh air. But I think Jesper Tarbog will run away with this one.
Yeah, that's 5. He's got a big gap already, as we can see. Gareth Swiderski is way back down the field, 36 seconds behind in last position. Tarbog has a 1 second lead already, and NATO seems to be struggling, as VR is easily able to keep up with him, even under pressure from Barry.
Difficult to know with NATO what goes through his mind sometimes, but he looked very fast in practice and qualifying, and just doesn't seem to have the pace. Jesper's already gapped him by a fairly sizable distance. Look at the timings.
That's good for 4th, second place. is still quick, but of course not as quick as Talbot, who is absolutely on fire and has been for several rounds in this championship. Really stamped his authority on this. Perhaps came to some speedway, I guess. So of course the Nürburgring, he was very quick as well, but didn't get the results that his pace deserved because of his mistake in the pit stop.
Yeah, we'll have none of that today. The weather, as I mentioned, is going to stay nice and dry, so yeah, he won't be able to make that mistake today. But yeah, it's very important for Jesper that he gets a good result in race 1.
It's important indeed. Of course, he's always got back to the back race 2 if he wins this race, and that's obviously going to be a difficulty as well, Toby, because it's very, very difficult to pass on this track.
It is. Yeah, we saw Jesper do a great move just now on Nato, but yeah, otherwise there's only 1 or 2 braking zones down here into the Andretti hairpin, and Barrick's going to have a go maybe.
Oh, it looked like he was going to have a go, and I thought he was going to have a go, but he just backed out at the last second, scared of creating contact, because of course any contact from the back of that BMW sent it spinning off with it being rear-wheel drive, and of course he doesn't want any penalty control. But again, he's in the top 5, but again, he's not where he needs to be. He needs to be in the top 2. He needs to be ahead of Torborg and VR. He's only in 4th. He needs just the extra little bit of sparkle. 5th position is Emil Salborg. He's doing very well indeed. Look at this. In behind is Matthias Klein. And 7th is Jurgen Braham. He's made his way up to the field, 3 positions. Whereas Vincent Kahn has made himself at 1 position. And there is Tyler Skurlock. So the guys who are fighting for the championship are together again. And of course Tyler, that's exactly what the doctor ordered, because he's gone from 13 to 9.
Yeah, I was just going to mention the progress of Graham. He's jumped right at the field and he's back in the big point, so he'll be fairly pleased with that. He's got to try and hold on to his 4th place in the championship, especially with NATO up there in 2nd, so he's just got Matthias Klein and Selberg. Pit stop strategy, might be able to jump them, but as it stands he's got them both in front of him.
Into the pits comes Tyler Skurlock. He's picking very early lap 7-1-2 now. He's picking lap 6 of course before the control line. The 16 lap race. Swiderski is pitted, and I think so has Stefan Werner. There is Swiderski just come out of the pits. You can see that very tight pit lane. Exit, very, very easy to run wide. Now Swiderski is way, oh, he's running wide off the track, trying to keep out of the way. He's way back in the pack. Of course, if you're slightly behind, then you're going to get lapped. Crazy here with the short lap time. But the big news is, Barrick has got past Francisco Villar. Look at that, it's in 3rd position.
Yeah, we missed that one, but must have been a good move. Maybe Villar made a mistake earlier in the lap, and Barrick was able to sneak through, because I don't see him doing Villar into turn 1 with the BMW's traction out of the final corner. So yeah, that's crucial for Barrick in the championship. Now Nato will, if he's got any sense, will do his best to help his Portuguese teammate Villar maybe hold up Barrick and back him back into Francisco.
Yeah, well, I'm backing Barrick to pass NATO pretty quickly here. Actually, it looks like he's got the fast pace and the Portuguese driver. On lap 7, it's a 16 lap race, so pit stops will be happening pretty shortly. And here we come now. Matthias Klein and Vincent Kahn have both come in. Both from the Hondas, of course. And in the background there was one of the ARC cars, and as was Karamidara and Andre Bogdan. And that's Diogo Lopez in behind. No, it's people from Salvo, sorry. Very similar skins. Of course, teammates. What do you think of the pit strategy of pitting 1 lap earlier than halfway?
Yeah, well, you get the extra bonus of a quick lap on, and in fact these guys are going to come out into fresh air, so it's going to benefit them hugely. They're going to be able to jump whoever they're. I mean, yeah, they're going to be able to jump whoever they're racing against at the time.
Speaking of jumping, look at this, Tyler Skurlock. Oh, can just go back through the field, thank you. I've lost the driver I want to look at. There we are, Tyler Skurlock has jumped both these drivers. Look at that, he was in behind Matthias Klein and Vincent Kahn before the pit stop. Look at that. He's he's got right ahead of both of them. That was a big jump.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, you put a new fresh set of boots on, you'll be able to do one quick lap, and yeah, he's perfect example there of how to use the pit stop strategy. But the guys behind him will have fresher rubber towards the end of the race, so they'll be able to use that maybe in the later laps. That'll be one to watch.
As we say, the track position is so key in this track as well, of course. It's so narrow. It's very difficult to follow the car if you're hitting, of course, the back of the vehicle. Tarbog is running away with this race. He has a 3-second lead now from NATO, 4-second lead from Barrick. VR is pitting, as is Emil Tarbog and Pedro Amaral. Tarbog, NATO and Barrick have carried on. But even with the early pit stop, Tyler really has jumped a huge way there. Maybe 1.5 seconds, maybe 2 seconds in gain on the two drivers he's passed.
Yeah, he might even be able to get right up there with VR.
He's going past Sorborg as well. Look at this, going past Sorborg as well. Sorborg was in 5th, and
there's
in
VR.
9th. And there's VR.
Yes, he's going to slot by VR, so yeah.
So Skurlock's come out 5th, so he's gone from 9th to 5th in the pit stop strategy. That is a genius bit of work there from Skurlock. Of course, he won't be a too much disadvantage there with time and car in behind, but he might have a bit disadvantage to Solborg with his tyres being 2 laps older than Solborg's. But that later has an engine, so he might be able to stay ahead of drivers behind.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, look at, I mean, Via's pitted a lap earlier than the top 3, and he's got a bit of fresh air, so he'll be one to watch as well, see whether he jumps his teammate at least, and he'll be looking to get right on the back of Talberg. I think these three have made a little bit of a mistake here.
Well, he might have passed Barrick, of course, but he was a little bit further back from Barrick. He did seem to be going quite slow there. And here's the top 3 in the pits. Let's go back to. There's Robert Howes pitting. He's been back and pitting as well. Now it's VR. He's coming round. He's the key contender here with the pit stop. Torborg has exited the pit stop already, I believe, and he's gained a few tenths of a second on NATO and a few tenths of a second on Barrick as well. As VR comes out, he's passing Yuri Braham. He's going to pass Keith Barrick as well. Look, I think he is. Will he be able to have enough speed around the outside of the corner? He's going to have plenty of speed around the outside of the corner. Look at this. Barrick is back in behind, like he's... Oh, no, he's not. Yes, he is even, sorry. So, like you said, Toby, that late pit stop has not paid off at all for Keith Barrick.
No, but he'll have slightly fresher rubber, and he'll want to use that straight away and try and get past Francisco as soon as he can.
Graham pitted in 7th, now still in 7th. He gained 1 position, but of course lost 1 position to Skurlock. We will have plenty of fresh tyres there, Yuri. He'll be 3 laps later than Skurlock. We might see Graham come up to maybe 6th or 5th in the race. But this looks like it is Torborg's race to lose. 6th back right now is Barrick versus VR. Barrick gets back past the Portuguese guy once again.
Yeah, this is his one shot. He's got to do it on this lap or the next lap. Or else he won't be able to. I don't think that BMW has got just far too much traction to be able to take the turn. But yeah, here comes Barrick. He's going to try and double back on him now.
Yeah, he's got and VR just spoiled the exit of the corner there for Barrick. Weber driving, of course, really trying to do that. Probably if he doesn't get past VR quickly, then he won't be having any chance to get up to Miguel Nato and take 2nd place in the championship, which is incredibly important with Torborg way out ahead.
Look how much, look at Keith sideways, but Skurlock is right up on the back of him. He's really done the right thing with his pit stop strategy, and
but he's still going quickly.
I can't understand.
Say that again.
I was just going to say, I can't understand why you'd leave it so late.
Of course, you want fresh rubber at the end of the race, but Skurlock, he pitted early, but he seems to have plenty of pace anyway. Look at this, he's even keeping up with these two guys. I know they're squabbling, but I don't know what Skurlock put on his tyres, but it must be some sort of glue, because he's like the clappers. As you see in behind here is Solberg and Braham. They're in a big battle. Braham only almost got a good exit there from turn 6 up Greyhound straight. Back to the back with VR and Barry. Barry is really all over the back of 24 VR. They head out of the corkscrew, walk a little bit behind the Portuguese driver coming through there. The VR is so difficult to pass because we've seen that in races before when he just gets out in front. He has to drive away or no one's able to pass him.
Yeah, the thing about VR is that he knows where to defend. The worst thing you can do when you're driving in front of another car is defend in air. You only block when you need to block. Salvo will hopefully demonstrate this here, and Yuri's right in behind him, so it should go defensive to the inside line, and does so.
I must say, the greatest exponent of just driving your line and only blocking when it's absolutely necessary to block was Jason Plato in real life motorsport. He just drives his line and nobody seems to be able to get past him when he's in that sort of mood. And only blocks when it's absolutely necessary, and it's won him, of course, championships. On someone, will he be able to stay ahead of Yuri Braham? He is able to stay ahead of Yuri Braham. I'm surprised to lose more time there, but of course that won't be helping his rear tyres at all.
You can sort of get away with it in front wheel drive cars. You just sort of mash the throttle and you can keep momentum quite well, but it's a bit more of a problem in the BMWs, but they have advantages in traction terms. Talberg run a bit wide there, so Yuri's probably got a little bit of a run on him.
Talberg historically have problems with his rear tyre wear going sideways. Of course, he needs to catch up with that car, but it's not very quick. So he will lose time doing that. And he's got quite a narrow entry into Rainy Curve there. Almost up the track as well. He's all over the place, and Yuri's looking like he wants past. Will he get past at the final head? This is very challenging than last time. Yuri goes to the outside at the last minute, trying to make Sorbob switch. Not quite got the run out of the corner as we go back up to the third position battle, and that is VR, Barrick and Skurlock. Look at this. Skurlock is on fire in that stay at Toledo. He qualified in 13th. He's up to 5th position now. As Torborg is still walking away with this race, Toby. He really is the class of the field.
Yeah, we saw that in qualifying as well. He set a lap time 4 tenths faster than anyone else, and the top two were 8 tenths faster than qualifying, so that's translated to race pace as well. NATO following Talberg, it's unbelievable how those guys put those times out in Supercar qualifying to me, but there we go.
Talbot with a 6.6 second lead after just 3/4 of the race. That is really a huge gap in the ATCC. The biggest we've seen for a long time, to be honest. Every time they come through. So, Pete! Very close indeed. Francisco is struggling through turn 6 onto Rahal Straight because of course it's very bumpy on the inside, isn't it there, Toby? Because you come across the inside, trying to hit the apex, which is possible. It's very bumpy and of course the real drive in the view.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why the front wheel drive is maybe going to have another look, but he's better off having a go into turn 1. And he's right on the back of VR now, so yeah, he just wants to stay in the slipstream and maybe make a late dive to the inside. He'll get away with it if he makes it late enough.
Well, he just needs to go for it. He just can't quite get the nose stuck in there. He just needs to go for a do-or-die pass, I feel. It needs to happen. Of course, with him being in 4th position, he will start ahead of his country rivals on the grid for the second race, so it's not all bad. But Yuri Braham has got past Starborg eventually, as you can see. Matthias riding behind, as is Vincent Carr. There is the driver, 24th in the championship. Been a strong contender all season, but not completely set the world alight in terms of challenging for race wins.
No, but the thing about Yuri is that he's always there or thereabouts. He's not one of those drivers. He's a very calculated driver, very similar to Talberg actually. But yeah, it's very difficult to find a race where Yuri is put a foot wrong really, and where he has had a bad result has been as a result of someone else. And we saw that at Wells Lake Point with Via.
Via just with a small mistake, which cost both himself and Braham points. course, Graham, I think his main difficulty has been qualifying. He's not managed to be able to nail Super Bowl qualifying well. See the battle, here we are. And now Barrett finally has an overlap on the on the wrong side. Can he get a little bit of help from drafting up the straight? Oh no. Barrett deciding he's not going to go on the outside. He doesn't want Scarlett to come through as well. And he's going to go try and go up the inside of VRB. It's coming slightly wide. Can he get his nose up the inside? No, not quite. And Scarlett's looking to bump past as well. If Barrett gets past VR, Scarlett's going to go straight through as well.
Yeah, Keith's waited an overtaking opportunity there. He was trying to go through when there wasn't really a gap, and he's just dropped off the back of Veer and put himself into the clutches of Tyler, who is, by the way, the driver of this particular race. Is still got the pace on those older tyres compared to the battling Keith and Francisco, so a good job from Tyler Skurlock. But yeah, I mean, Keith looks definitely quicker than Veer at this stage of the race, so he's only got 2 laps left to do it.
Next lap will be the last lap. I don't know what tyres Skurlock has got on his car, but I want them. They're 3 laps older than the guys in front of him. He's still keeping up. I mean, they are battling of course, but even still, superb performance from Tyler. He's got better and better as the season has gone on.
Willing Keith to make a dive down the inside, but he's just never quite close enough to do so. But he's right on the back of Veer again, so this is where he just needs to make a huge dive, and he should make it stick if he gets it stuck on the apex. He should make it stick.
He's going to go for it. No, he's not going to go for it. He's pulled out once again. But the BMW is so strong in his first section of the lap and out of the final corner as well, and it's so difficult for him to pass. So these are the this is the first section of the main passing area on the track, of course. And he just can't seem to nail it. The BMW is so strong.
Yeah, his only other opportunity is on the Rahal straight towards the corkscrew. But I just don't think Keith is quite strong enough in that area, and this is the other opportunity. But yeah, as you say, Veer's just got so much traction out of the twistier parts of the track that Keith can't do anything about it. But this is where Keith needs to get a really good run.
Absolutely, he seems so definitely his own move actually. Going through there, he's so quick with that. And Veer's wide. Oh, not quite enough. I thought that was going to be Keith's moment.
But he's still alongside. Oh, huge moment!
That's 3 positions. He's gone down to 47. He went for it, but it did not pay off, Toby.
Yeah, absolutely huge moment for Keith. I mean, that was his only opportunity. Yeah, Talbot's just walked away with it, but that was Keith's literally his only opportunity. He's going to get done by Klein now.
He's going to lose 8th position for 4th position on the grid. No! He's going to be way back on the grid. He at least had 7th position for 2nd place in the grid, but he's gone wide in the final corner as well. Too hot-headed, and 10th position he takes. That's going to be on the second race. That is disaster there for Keith, Toby.
Keith's made it a lot worse for himself, but it's so easy to do when you make a mistake or have a big moment. The adrenaline pumps, and you lose your head, and you just forget about breaking some points, and you start thinking, oh, what have I done? I've made a mistake, and it's so easy to make another one. And yeah, Barrick's it's done exactly that, and yeah, as you say, he's lost out. He was in a pretty good position for race 2, but now he's got it all to do. And with Talberg and Via 1st and 3rd, yeah, it's not looking good for Keith in championship.
Of course, he has the opportunity to drop this score. This will be his worst result of the season so far. So he actually does not drop that many points in relativeness. Of course, it's just not helping in the slightest. Because, of course, if the move had come off, we would have been congratulating him for such a fantastic move, wouldn't we, Toby? But because the move did not come off, of course, in hindsight, it would be better to stay in 4th position and take, the higher grid spot for race 2.
Well, yeah, I mean, now we see that he's dropped down to 10th and is not in the reverse grid slots. Yes, that is the case, but he had to go for that move. It's aggression that wins you championships. You can't play it too safe, especially when you're chasing, which is the situation Barrick's in. And yeah, I mean, he went for it, and it it was a really late move, and Via left him effectively a car's width, and Keith maybe got on the curb and yeah, turned it round and got into the barrier, and I think that damage might have affected his second mistake.
Well, it was okay. Meanwhile, Jesper Tarborg has taken the race 1 win. We'll congratulate him for that. Sorry for not rounding that up. In second position was Miguel Nato, a strong result from him, and third position was Francisco Villar, with fourth to Tyler Skill. That was a superb race there from him, from 13th to 4th. Certainly makes a contender for driver of the day so far.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got it all to lose in the second race, though. He's in the middle of the pack. Oh, well, I should say the middle of the championship contenders. But yeah, I mean, watch Keith. If he doesn't get a good start and doesn't get ahead of some of the, I wouldn't say slower guys, but guys that he's not fighting with in the championship, then he'll have to make an early stop and try and jump them, much like Tyler did in race 1.
Yeah, Tyler's shown the way for that, really, hasn't he? And Vincent Kahn is on pole position as a result of Keith's mistake at the final corner. There was a disaster there, really. He had 7th position still, and that would have given him the second position on the grid for race 2, and he did a great place to take race 2 win, but of course he threw it away. Well, it's what we like to see. We do like to see incidents, and we don't like to see people being conservative, so we can't complain too much about that, can we?
No, absolutely not. Interestingly, Yuri up in 4th. It's one of his best chances for a good result, and Via will be looking to stay ahead of Talberg in terms of the championship. From 6th on the grid, he's got NATO directly behind him, so those two need a good start to get ahead of Talberg. And Via, you'd expect to have a good start in the rear-wheel drive BMW.
Absolutely, but of course it's a very narrow grid, as you can see. There's not much room on the inside, perhaps, to go through, is there?
No, the grid slots are not very far spaced apart either, so if you do get a jump on the guy in front, it's not necessarily going to help you if it's slow.
Right. Here we go, race 2, we've got to get underway. Uruguay on the wall, this ball by It feels stream now. Oh, there's a big accident in the background there, look at that. Eric Nelson involved, looked like he was going off to the sideways. Yeah, it was him, the Synaptic Racing Car, lots of the Terra Shredders guys involved. Ethan Bass and Stefan Werner involved as well. Gary Swiderski, what on earth happened there? You just saw the car shooting across the track. That was a humongous crash.
I should think someone was slow away and maybe got squeezed into the wall, but yeah, up front, look at the change for position up front.
Well, the pole can't get it. 7th position is now in. 8th position in behind Miguel Nato. Jesper Tarborg is up to 5th already. Leo is on 3rd. So Matthias Ryan leads the race. He was on pole position for Road America in race 2, and of course he messed up there. Remember that Graham is narrow into Corkscrew. We can see what happens there.
He's done it.
Oh no! I can go now into rainy curves. It's also so close. Very, very difficult through rainy curves.
Yeah, these two have got history as well. And Talbot's right in there. He's going to be looking to jump both of them maybe if they're struggling.
Talbot on the right side of the road. Lopez is going to go up the inside. Talbot, he is indeed. Look at that. Lopez is helping out his compatriot. And there is driving straight away in contention. On the opening laps, takes all the right decisions. He almost goes for the gap on Miguel Nato there as well, but Tarborg's in 5th, now back to 6th. As VR and Graham once again do battle, and Sarborg is taking the lead. Emil Sarborg, the Waterloo Racing, is taking the lead in his Peugeot 407, overtaken the Monaco Ultimate Racing vehicle of Matthias Klein. Do you think these two can win the race, Toby?
Not with Via directly behind them. Via looked pretty strong towards the later stages of race 1, although he was battling with Keith. The pace was still pretty good. Salberg looks to have got a pretty good pace here, though, so it is all once again down to pit stop strategy and how much of a gap he can pull over likes of Talbot, but Barrett will be placed on 2 places behind Jesper.
Absolutely, with the pace of this guy, he's still in 8th position. He's not even after you just yet. He might be able to get a podium spot. If he can, he will be delighted. But Solborg is leading the way. He's the first one to let away in the ATCC. We are 50 years behind. So is doing Graham. And Lopez is holding up Solborg, as you can see. And NATO, so this is not the good Solborg. Two Portuguese drivers, Lopez and NATO, of course. Well, one of his rivals for the championship is Francisco Villar, a Portuguese driver. So, very interesting indeed to see how that goes. As Villar just keeps the back of Matthias Klein's car just a little bit of a touch. As they now go into turn 3, Villar has managed to take advantage there. Tries to get a good exit from 3 into 4, but no, not quite alongside. Very close race here.
Yuri's all over the back of him as well.
Absolutely, and Yuri's waiting for opportunities. Meanwhile, Solborg is absolutely driving away from the pack as the lane goes so wide and Villar can't quite get the overlap. Plenty of lines through turn 5, thankfully, but not the other line. Head now up, great hole straight.
Barrett's got past NATO. He's direct behind Jesper. A little touchy there in corkscrew, as NATO is inclined to do, but he's been very clean in the last couple of races, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Barrett is sideways through there again with the power on. The Bob Hale is doing well. And Hugo Gonçalves, Diogo Lopez's teammate, in 10th. The field is streaming through. And Villar has dropped back from the climb. Maybe we'll come together sometimes. They've dropped right back from the Honda driver. Meanwhile, Klein has gained on Solborg. Yeah,
Solborg, sorry, not Solborg.
Yeah, different touch between the top 2 for lap times. And Villar's, I think, dropping off because he's having to defend Yuri. He's looking very racy.
They just scroll through the rest of the field at the moment. Solborg's looking up the inside with Diogo Lopez into turn 5. Oh, he might get the switch back. No, not quite. Not able to repeat that magnificent manoeuvre he pulled on NATO in race 1. Here is a scene of his mistake and his pass in race 1. He's got the overlap. Unfortunately, not quite so dangerous. Like a great opportunity.
Oh! Look at Keith. Keith's going to do him.
Keith's going to do it as well. Keith's going to take 2 positions. Superb work there from Keith. Get a little bit of touch there from Tom on the outside. Keith goes slightly wide.
Oh, and he shoved him off.
Oh, he just pushes him out wide a little bit. Shows what he thinks of that. And Nathan's got past Lopez as well. Lopez lost 3 positions in that one move. Solborg flashes right there to Keith. I didn't like that either or. Now ahead of the challenge rival. Superb work there from Keith. Just waited his opportunity and went straight through.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he should have done in race 1 to Villar, and he's made that mistake perfectly. Talbot trying to make the move, and Keith was there ready to pounce. So now Keith up to P5 is he's trying to salvage something from this race. Ahead of Jesper, that's going to really help him, but he'll have to be careful. And the other driver I'm interested in is Tyler Skurlock back in P11. See what he can do from there. Or P12 as it is now.
He's going back now. So he's dropped way back. Having a great race too. And Villar's right in behind Klein again as well, and Graham's looking out of shape. Barrett is going to show you better in this race, as he needs to do so. Recent event, Barrett is showing it here, right now, up from 10th to 5th on the grid, already by lap 5. With no help of real drive either off the start grid, of course. Real drive first of all, this time around. A little bit early pit stop perhaps. Skurlock was lap 6 last time around. Look inside is going Karen Vidal on Hugo Gonzalez. It may have been Karen Vidal defending in fact actually. And Paul's in there. Back there for Keith. So he is showing the method. He's showing why he is a champion contender here, further.
Yeah, absolutely. He's really salvaging, as I said, something from this race. Without the help of teammates, we're looking at Vincent Pan here. He's gone back a long way from being P1 on the grid.
He was pole position back in 11th.
Yeah, shocking race for Vincent so far. Still a pit stop. Maybe do something Skurlock-esque. VR and Klein, VR's been trying to get by Matthias for several laps now, but he can't do anything about that Honda, and needs to.
Just need to. Barrett at top one, coming right up to Barrick once again. And with all due respect to Solberg and Matthias Klein, this will be helping Keith get nearer to the front of the field. And Solberg as well, of course. They're not quite as fast as the champion contenders, of course. That's why they're not champion contenders themselves. They are showing good pace here, actually. I mean, VR's not exactly all over the back of Klein, lap after lap, corner after corner. VR is making mistakes here and there, and Klein is being very consistent, isn't it?
Yeah, and Salberg showed good pace in race 1 as well, so these guys obviously like the... is that... So he took note of the first.
Yeah, he's gone for the Boucher tactic, and why not? Because it worked brilliantly. Boucher tactic, sorry, Skurlock tactic. He's gone for the Skurlock tactic, and that worked brilliantly, of course, in race 1 for Skurlock, and the opposite tactic did not work well at all for Keith. So he was wise to go with that as his strategy.
Yeah, he just needs clean air. That's what did it for Tyler. He had a fresh set of rubber and a big gap in front of him, so he was able to push really hard for several laps, and that's what gained him the position. So it looks like Keith's going to be able to jump out into fresh air.
I believe this is him here. Yes, it is. He's rejoining 14th position. He's in behind Ethan Bass. Bass off the line to the pit late, so hopefully Keith can, he's flashing his lights actually at Ethan saying, look, I'm coming. I am a championship contender. You are not. Get out of my way.
Yeah, I mean, this is Ethan's second race in ATCC, so if he's got any sense, he'll allow Keith to get through fairly rapidly.
Ethan does like to race, of course, though. So hopefully Keith's desperately hoping that he doesn't get held up in behind Ethan. He really is. You can almost see his body language of the car. You can see thoughts into his head as everybody comes into the pits. Klein, Skurlock, Khan, Lopez, Gonsalves, sorry, no, not Lopez. Tolborg and Solberg are still out there. It worked for Tolborg last time around, but it might not work this time around because he's not out in the head of the field.
Yeah, it's not good for him that he's stopping at the same time.
Down the pit lane, and Fiat's done it. Look at that! What a great move! He's got past Matthias Klein on the exit of the pit lane. That was superb work there from Francisco.
Yeah, he's been trying to do that all race. And, look at Keith right behind them now.
Keith is not much closer than he was before, of course. Now VR has got a car in between himself and the DHR Simcraft driver. He's a little bit closer perhaps. NATO is up there as well. Keith must have got past Ethan Bass pretty quickly. Ethan is quite a way back from him now.
Yeah, he's got
absolutely.
Really in position.
Top 4, top 5 is still to pit. Robert Iles is still to pit. He was involved in that big lap 1 incident. Not quite sure what happened there. We might be able to find out in the post-race press conference. Make sure you stick around for that after race 2. Into the pits come the top 4. There is Solberg, Tolborg, Lopez and Brayhan. Brayhan was second into the pits. Torborg third, and Neil gets away. Torborg gets away, and Torborg has jumped Yuri by a long way. Look at that, what's going on there?
Yeah, I mean, we saw Jesper practicing. Absolutely nailed. But yeah,
That's a
these
huge
guys...
lap, as fast a lap again from Keith Barrett. He really is laying the gauntlet.
No, it's alright, I'm just going to say, look at Jesper and Keith. They're going to be very close out of the pits.
Keith is going to pass. I'm not sure where everyone is in this minute at the moment. As Solberg is still leading, VR is second, Jesper's third, Matthias Klein is fourth, and Keith is the one stuck behind Matthias now. But
Keith!
The German just hold on to
Great
it.
save from Matthias there. Great save. It was almost 90 degrees.
And Matthias has let it go. I think Matthias is just to let it get out of the way because Keith is on a charge. Three championship contenders are now second, third, and fourth. Solberg is still leading the race, so he's doing fantastically.
He certainly is, but he's going to be under massive pressure in a minute, I should think. He's got a little bit of clean now. He's going to be right up behind Bia again. And Keith will be waiting in the wings, especially if those two battle. Keith will be right in there as well. But yeah, I mean, Keith Barrett has definitely saved this race from 10th on the grid.
He has done very well indeed, but of course, I mean, he fourth position from 10th on the grid, it's fantastic, but still, only fourth position. He needs to get ahead of his championship rivals, and he's charging up to the back of those drivers. Look at that. He really is absolutely on fire. Determined to make up for his place on this arena. And VR and Torborg are now battling very fiercely indeed, and Torborg is facing the same problem that Keith had, how to get past the BMW driver.
He tried to con VR there. He went inside and then outside and then back inside, but VR was having none of that.
Wildly better with VR.
Yeah, absolutely. He's defended very well so far. He's defending now well from Jesper, so well, as Jesper makes a dive, maybe.
Not quite. How do you get past this Francesco VR? So how would you go about it? It would be so difficult to pass. At Nürburgring, nobody could pass him, even though he wasn't that far in front of the field. Here today as well, notice him going past the BMW driver.
Well, here's where he's weak, onto this straight and towards the corkscrew. We saw that earlier. Jesper needs to stop making inside VR coming onto the rail straight. He needs to get himself set up like that, get a really good run onto the rail straight, and then he'll be able to maybe have a look into the corkscrew.
Meanwhile, Emil is lapping all the way to checkered flag at the moment. Stay there off, yeah, into the 8th bend now, into the hairpin. That's great track now here. On Barrick's involved as well. It is going up the inside of Torborg. Contact between the two drivers. And VR gets out ahead again. He's trying to get
Keith was trying to get past them both there, and oh, it's so tight. These three are just so close on the track. It's anyone's guess who's going to end up on top. It just looks like there's going to be trouble happening at every corner.
Well, this is championship changing stuff. Remind you guys, this is first, second, and third in that order on the racetrack. In the championship, 5 points between them before race one. Changed slightly after the race one. But this is the championship right here, right now. And these three guys are at it. Hammer time around the outside, going to go Torborg. He's trying the inside. He's trying to come back. He's going to try the outside. We'll see if having none of it again as well. Make sure he places that BMW in the right position and Torborg cannot get past.
Here we go. Talbot's got a run.
He has got the run, but we've seen it before.
Oh, and he tried to switch back and he had to back out.
Oh, that's what we've seen before. Corner. Every driver's got it up the inside into the corner, but we've seen has left out as a result. So it happened to Diogo Lopez on the first lap with Torborg himself, who went normal route. Lopez went up the inside, and Lopez ended up losing out overall. But Via's having to defend into this corner now, and that's a new rule defend into that corner. And now Torborg wants to go to the overlap on Via, I think, but he saw that Barrick was coming in behind, didn't dare do so. So Torborg's eyes will be on spring. He's trying to look in his mirror and trying to get past Via at the same time. Torborg is undoubtedly the fastest driver in the race so far, although perhaps Barrick has arguably so who has the fastest lap of the race. This is such an intense battle. This really is what the championship is all about. These three protagonists.
One mistake from Beer and he'll lose to both places. So he knows that every apex we just saw in that last lap, he missed the apex. And both his rivals onto him. So and Keith's going to have a go at Jesper around the outside here.
He is. If he can make that thing. Oh, look at it! Round the outside, what a move! No, not what a move. He just almost went off the track. I thought he made a brilliant move there, but he just saved it. That was so close going in the gravel, and if you go in the gravel there, it's everything. Goodbye. The camber, as soon as you go in the gravel, the camber immediately leads towards the barrier. I know, I've been there plenty of times.
Yeah, I mean, Keith was on the outside. I think Jesper just gave him over it though. And, perhaps there was a bit of contact. I don't know. I didn't quite see it properly, but
I think he just broke just a little bit too late.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at this. Going around the outside again though, but the traction of that BMW out of the corner now. VR Tarbog in the head, but VR out. There we go. He's finally got the position. Someone has finally passed VR on track. VR is furiously trying to fight back because he knows he has to get back past immediately, else Tarbog will just drive away. And Barrett goes slightly wider. Of course, he's got all the tyres from these two guys, and Matthias Klein is now going to be involved. So Barry can't afford to make any mistakes at all. Now, lap 13. So there's 3 and a bit laps to go. Can he take a double win here like he did at KW Super Speedway? If he can, that puts him in a commanding position heading into Bathurst.
One thing about that move from Jesper, he'd learned that Via was always going to sit on the apex for the second last one and use the BMW's traction. And he just went around the outside and Via was there sitting on the apex expecting Jesper to double back. On the outside.
Oh no! I think Barry just got the back when he got Via out there going through. The corner on the outside to go. Barry on Via, and now Matthias is getting involved as well.
Barrett's going to be in trouble for that. Barrett's going to be in trouble for that.
He might indeed be, unless of course VR just moved across in the last second. We'll have to wait and see on the steward's review. But meanwhile, Barrett is into third. He's so determined in this race. You can see it in his body language in the car and the speed that he's producing. I know he's letting like you said, Toby.
Yeah, it's the only thing we saw. I mean, it did look like Keith just maybe missed his braking point and just gave Via a little bit of a love tap, but he's done the sensible thing there in my opinion.
Absolutely, and off the track, in the background there is Karen Madaro, Andrew Bogdan, who's having a good race as well, as Sultan Share comes around the corner and takes the place away from him, and Bouchard has lost a lot, Bogdan has lost lots of positions there. Meanwhile as well, Matthias Klein has gone from 5th down to 7th. NATO and Braham have got past while he was battling, trying to get past Via after he hit him. So, Matthias Klein, after a strong first part of the race, has dropped back a little bit, of course. Now Torborg is right in behind Solberg. Lap 14, 2 and a bit laps to go.
So we've got 2 fights.
Yep.
So we've got the fight for first place, we've got the fight for third place, and both are absolutely critical for the championship.
Absolutely, and NATO is now here to help his Portuguese teammates. Simply called the Portugal Racing Team, these two. Fighting against the DHR Supercross driver, and NATO's looking to keep wide, but Barrett's trying to go around the outside like Torborg did, but DR's had enough of that already. So difficult to get past the Portuguese drivers. Just cannot do it. These 5 drivers are all very, very close indeed. One mistake from one of them and they lose all the positions that they have in this train. And NATO gets sideways. I think Graham is hit the side of another sideways. Oh no. And Graham has been pushed onto the grass by NATO. Klein's going around the outside of both of them. Look at this. Klein's taking, oh, he's hit the side of his sideways. almost on the track, and NATO will make the technician back again. So Klein back to 7. Greyhound almost going to get his positions back then, but not quite. He's trying to go around the outside, and now Torborg is all over the back of Emil Solberg. Will he make a move stick? Waterbury Racing against Synaptic. Honda versus Peugeot. Dane against Sweden. And this is Torborg taking the lead. He's taking the lead. Brought up Greyhound straight into the corkscrew. Got ahead of Solberg before even they got to the corkscrew. That was a great move there from Solberg.
Absolutely, he got the run onto rail straight towards the corkscrew and just made it stick. Absolutely perfect and clean. Precision driving, but Emil bitterly disappointed to lose the lead so late in the race.
Yeah, on the penultimate lap, almost his first ATCC victory. But Torborg has really stamped his authority on this event. He was favourite for this event coming in, and he obviously has shown why he was regarded as so. As Barrett's going to make a move on VR here into turn 1. He's so close. He touched the back of the field and he wants to get
He's got it gathered up.
VR just gathered up to third car control. How on earth did he save that, Toby?
He just, in full lock, he would have just whacked full lock on and hope for the best. That's all you can do in a rear-wheel drive car. But Keith's Via's very lucky to still be in a straight line and still on the podium. But Yuri Graham, look at how he's closed up on these two.
Yuri's back to 7th at one point. He's now 5th. Looking for 4th. Oh, he almost gets the overlap there on Barrett, but not quite. Barrett, of course, will be struggling to tie a little bit, I think, because he's taking the chip 2 laps earlier than the drivers around him. Looks like he's struggling a little bit, but he's still faster than VR, and he does want to get past. Is it the final lap now? Coming to the final part of the lap is Jesper Torborg. He's going to take a double win and the lead in the championship as he heads now down towards turn 10. The penultimate corner of the second race of the season. This is the penultimate event. 1 event to go, 2 races at Bathurst, but Jesper Torborg, a double race win, a superb performance from the Danish 17-year-old. He weaves across the line in delight. Superb performance from him. Emil Solberg takes second position, another superb performance also as well. The third position, Barwick in 4th, Greyhound in 5th, Jaco 6th, strong 7th there from Klein, 8th for Gonsalves, 9th is Tyler Skurlock. He managed to make his way back up from 12 at one point, but not as good results as in race 1. 11th, Karen Vidal, 10th was Diogo Lopez, 12th, Richard Lane, 13th, Abdulhamid, 14th, Boucher, 15th, Khan, the pole sitter, down to 15th. 16th, Swiderski, 17th, Reese Gardner, 18th was Robert Isles, 19th was his Terror Australis racing teammate Daniel Wood, 20th, Eric Nelson. In 21st coming up to the line was Pedro Amaral. And 22nd, Stefan Werner. And in 23rd coming across the line was Michael Carr. We've not seen much of him. This is his first event in the season so far in Server 1. 24th, Ethan Bass. I'm not sure who's going to be 25th. Let's take a look. But that was a superb performance there from Torborg, and he takes my driver of the day. I don't know about you there, Toby.
Oh, absolutely. Qualified on pole by a country mile, and 2 very dominant wins, especially the second race. He had to pick his spot for first place, and the gap between him and Keith, remember they were nose to tail at one point, is huge. Keith gets a mention for recovering his round, but I think Skurlock's strategy in race 1, another good performance from him, and so he's looking to maybe move up the championship standings a little bit. But NATO a little bit disappointing for me. He was seemed to have the pace in practice and was second on the grid in qualifying. Bit of a shame to see him not quite so strong in race 2.
Well, Tyler Skurlock will be also pleased to say that Vincent Khan and Eric Nelson have the struggle in their races, he'll be able to strengthen his position, perhaps in 6th position in the championship. We'll hopefully be joined by a couple of drivers shortly. Hopefully they'll come in here. There'll be plenty of heated words in there, I think. It was a very, very intense race indeed.
Yeah, 1 or 2 between, I should think Keith and Jesper will be, Keith and VR will be an interesting one to hear if they had already had a bit of contact and discussion before the race even started. VR was
user joined your
perhaps
channel.
a little upset about his penalty that he received from Rattlesnake Point, so be interesting to see what he thinks of Keith's driving. Keith did let him through, remember, but there's still more contact later on in the race, so those two will be interesting to listen to.
Oh, we do like a bit of needle. And we are joined by Emil Solberg, almost taking his first win in the ATCC, but came across the line second in the end. Emil, how did that event go for you? It looked very, very intense from where we were sitting.
Yeah, it was a great event, really. I got a great start. I managed to take the lead on, I don't know, I think it was lap 2. And then I managed to hold the lead for, well, until the penultimate lap. So that was a bit of a bummer, but otherwise I'm really chuffed with this result.
Of course, if someone had said to you, I'll give you second position before the race, you would have bitten their hand off. But to lose it on the penultimate lap must have been gut-wrenching.
Yeah, it was, but then, you know, Jesper is so
User
much
left your
quicker
channel.
Than almost everybody else here. So I'm not really
User joined your
with the
channel.
result at all. It was more, I was just
User joined your channel.
watching Francisco holding up
User joined your channel. User joined your channel.
and Barrick at the end during the whole race, and I was just hoping that he wouldn't let them pass, but in the end Talbot got the better of him, so...
Absolutely, of course, that battling played into your hands, and one of those who was involved in more battles than most was Francisco VR. Plenty of contact there from you, and all race long people found it incredibly close, incredibly difficult to pass you, VR. The BMW seemed to be very, very strong off the corners, especially in the first sector of the race. I mean, is that how it felt from your point of view?
Yes, the car was a nightmare in here, especially in the second race, because when the race started, I was getting a good run off, and then I tapped Emil because I thought we would go to the front.
User joined your channel.
But it was too hard, and I got a suspension problem. So that's the reason why I was so slow in the second race. Fortunately, the BMW is really strong under braking, so I was able to difficultly keep the guys behind. Some of them, actually.
Some of them. I mean, we only saw one person pass you the entire race. I mean, you defended manfully. I mean, a couple of incidents there with Barrick. What were your views on that? I mean, one where Barrick just pitched you into the corkscrew a little bit.
I think.
Of course, he let you back through again afterwards.
Yeah, I think it was no problem because the BMW into the corkscrew is really difficult, and I need to brake really soon there. So it's normal that Keith tapped me lots of times there. I knew that already because I've been practicing with Miguel, and he told me that.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, of course, you had some strong results, but Torborg has taken a double race win. The first time anybody has taken a double race win at a road course, of course.
Yes.
I mean, Torborg was untouchable today. How do you rate your chances going into the final round at Bathurst? Do you reckon you can claw back the deficit on the Danish driver?
Seriously, I don't know what's the difference right now. It's bigger than I would expect it, of course, especially after that penalty I had in the last race. What's the difference, more or less? Can you tell me?
I'm guessing it's going to be. I'm not sure. I'm guessing it's going to be about 20 to 25 points. I think, perhaps. Depends on the drop scores.
It depends on the drops.
Difficult.
Depends on the
exactly.
drops.
Yeah, of course. So it's not impossible, I guess. He did it now. He earned 20 points more than me, so I can do that in the last race as well, I think.
Absolutely. And Toby, I don't know if you've got any questions for Francisco V. I mean, you were involved. You know what it's like to have close racing.
Yeah, I mean, Francisco, you had almost every driver all over the back of you, it seemed like. But yeah, the traction of the BMW really helped you defend.
Yes, the traction and the braking. The braking is very, very good. I mean, braking into the first corner, it was almost impossible that they passed me there. So I was able to defend.
Yeah, good job today, Francisco. Well done.
Thank you very much, Toby.
We've also got Matthias Klein. He did a good job, especially in race 2. We saw you quite a lot on there, Matthias. Good result for you.
Yeah, great fun. I want to thank everybody making this league possible. It was my best 2 races and great fun. Finally, I had some kind of speed. Second class race, and yeah, that was great.
Yeah, you should move up the championship standings. Where are you hoping to get to in the championship?
I hope for a top 10. That would be great. I don't know where I am now after Laguna, but top 10 would be great.
Yeah, I think you're a strong contender. Thank you, Matthias.
Thanks.
Sorry to interrupt, guys. I just want to double check that we are getting audio going through the feed, because I just got a note that we weren't. I'm just going to quickly check, so hang on for 2 seconds. All right, guys. Okay, we're good. We're good. Sorry, I don't know what the hell Yuri was talking about.
Yuri's going drunk again.
No worries. We've also got Miguel Neto, who looked very strong in qualifying. P2 on the grid. Were you hoping for a little bit better, Miguel?
Yeah. The qualifying was very good for me. A good clean lap, and I was optimistic for the 2 races. I have one big problem in the 2 races. In the pre lap for race 1, I check my steering wheel without driving force, and I do 2 races without force in my steering wheel. Yeah,
great work. Well done.
And was a surprise for me and an experience too for me, and not too much difference, but it's very light into feeling the car, especially in the fast turns. So I start very well in the race 1, past Talborg in turn 1. But Jesper has too much pace for me in the race 1, and passed me, and I catch second place, and I drive safely at the end. In the second race was good for me too, but a great battle with Keith, with Yuri, and a good 6th place.
Yeah, well done, Miguel. An excellent job considering you had no force feedback. Technical issues can't always be avoided, but yeah, an excellent job in the end. And we were expecting maybe a little bit more from you after qualifying, but considering your problems, you did very well.
Yeah, great.
Well done, Miguel. That's fantastic effort with no FFB. I know I can't do that myself, no force feedback. And now we come to our bi-weekly interview with our race organizer, Keith Berwick. Even though he didn't finish on the podium once again, because
I didn't want to come in here to talk about the races.
He always comes in here, dude. Even though he didn't even finish on the podium like you're supposed to. But seeing as you're the organizer, you get to flaunt the rules. But race 1, the final lap, what on earth happened there? Man.
Well, I didn't really come in here to talk about the races because I'm still trying to get over them. But it was, I'm going to say it was kind of a desperate move after laps and laps of trying to get by Francisco. It was into the corkscrew, and I got to look at the replay, like for no fault on Francisco, but for just my car, the way it reacted when I was beside him heading into the left-hander in the top part of the corkscrew. It felt like the back end of my car lifted up off the ground and sent me not to the right into Francisco's car. It sent me to the left, which based on physics just shouldn't have happened. And I don't know. I got to look at the replay again, but once that happened, I was frustrated. Got back on the track. I was in 7th, going to the last corner, and I was trying to make sure I didn't lose another spot, and I dropped the wheel on the outside going into the braking zone, and one mistake leads to another in a short period in one sector of the track, and I ended up finishing 10th. Would have been nice if I got 8th and I could have had a clear track in front of me.
Yeah, you were in 7th before that mistake happened. That's what we were saying. I mean, with that second mistake was what really cost you at the end. Really, because dropping from 4th to 7th in the first race. I mean, of course, you're going to lose some points, but you would have dropped that score anyway because of your good results so far, and you would have started on the front row of the grid. So it was sorry to say it, it really was a huge mistake in the championship land. But second race, you came out absolutely all guns blazing. You were absolutely on fire in the second race.
Yeah, it was race 2 was it was good all around. I mean, you could
see the determination you're driving, really could. In the body language of your car, you could see it all being channeled into getting a good result.
Well, and you know what? I knew that was what was needed. I mean, starting 10th is not easy because of the strength of the field ahead. I mean, Emil had an amazing run. Matthias, the field ahead, I knew was not going to be easy to get by, and I just wanted to get a good start. And again, I bogged off the start like I did at Rattlesnake. I'm not too sure where my head's been at lately with the mistakes at Rattlesnake and here, but I pushed for a good result because knowing that I've got all these top 5s, I need either a first or a second to make it even remotely count towards the championship. And with Francisco getting some good results here and Jesper literally dominating, it just didn't seem in the cards. And when I got behind Francisco with trying to get by him was just very difficult, and I was trying to do it cleanly, and unfortunately I did give him a tap. I didn't want to take the position like that, so I just waited for a safe spot where I'm not going to lose a bunch of positions, and I handed the spot back rightfully because that wasn't the way I wanted to get it. I don't think there was any way I was going to get it, to be honest.
So difficult to pass. I mean, all we saw was Torborg pass VR, and he had great difficulty, and of course he was easily the fastest driver on the track.
Hands down.
Also, we saw you do a great move on Torborg himself, actually, when he was challenging Diogo Lopez, and you took 2 positions in one go out of the corkscrew and into Rayleigh Curve.
Yeah, Jesper's been good to me this season when he's quicker, he would stay behind me and kind of work with me to catch the next guy. My head was really clouded in the second race, and I mean I probably could have worked with him, but I knew how much quicker he was, and if he just trails off into the distance, I basically watching the championship sail off into the sunset, and it is a championship that we're racing for. There's one big race coming up to the end of the season, and to be honest, I still think it's very, very tight because of the drops. I'm obviously going to drop the 10th that I got with Jesper having the DNF, which was very unfortunate. There isn't any room for error on Jesper's part. The 2 wins are huge for him, especially with the pole. He scored the most points possible out of anything that you could get, and I think we're looking at a pretty good finish to the season because the final round is at a track where everybody has a little bit of an advantage.
Drama, excitement, adrenaline.
Exactly.
I love that place. I love Mount Panorama. Can't wait for that round. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Thank you, Ryan, for coming along today. Thank you for entertaining us as well, of course. And we'll catch you again in 2 weeks' time at Bathurst.
Oh, thanks, Ryan, and thank you, Toby, for stepping in. I really appreciate it. I'm going to look forward to watching the download. Everybody have a good night.
User left your channel.
So, Toby, that was a great event. Lots and lots of action and close racing. I mean, how sum it up for us just in a few sentences.
User left your channel.
Battles. It's one word really. Everywhere we saw there was action. Cars hitting each other, not necessarily on purpose, but everyone was.
User was kicked out of your channel.
Really close, tight battles.
User left your channel.
For qualifying for pole. Jesper springing out of nowhere, but Jesper was the man of the day really. He had pace over everyone, and that was reflected from qualifying all the way through to race 2, and he'll be a strong favourite for the championship win now as we head towards Bathurst in 2 weeks' time.
we do
considering
head
his double
towards
race
the
win.
iconic track as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I love the Nordschleife, I love Spa. I mean, I get Monaco, I get Laguna Seca even though I hate the track. But Mountain Panorama is the track for me. It is the mecca of motorsport, and I cannot wait for the 2 rounds there. And they are coming up in 2 weeks' time. You'll find them live again on the ATCC on this broadcast. I will join next week by Beyond the House. We might even get Toby back in as well, depending on how it goes. And then it's 2 extended races though next week, rather than 25-minute races. It'll be around about 40 to 45-minute races. So that will be epic indeed. Join us again in 2 weeks' time. Thank you once again for Toby for joining me.
No worries. Until then.
Okay, guys, and thanks for watching. We'll leave you with some taste of the action, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time at Mount Panorama.
User left your channel. User left your channel.